All right, y'all, we are back with another video. We got to talk about the latest episode of The Real Housewives of Atlanta. Listen, Kandi and Sheree then sat down for a good old ponderosa about whether or not Kandi is supportive of Sheree or is she trying to bring her business down. I mean, Sheree's website crashed. That's all it was, because we was all running to the website trying to make our purchases and whatnot. And I be trying to tell y'all how Shopify works. And I felt like Kandi was trying to tell her how those types of things work. And I just wanted to say, Sheree, learn something from this. Learn something from this. But in case you want to learn something from this, let's get into this little PSA right here. So today's video is sponsored by SkillShare. Now, y'all know I just finished my real estate licensing, so I'm kind of ready to dive into the next thing. And I've been thinking about fashion, learning more about passive income, and I've been, dipping and dabbing in Shopify. And now I'm ready to learn Etsy because y'all know I like being my own boss. So I have been exploring SkillShare. Now, a lot of you guys may know that SkillShare has opportunities to explore film, video editing, and illustration. But they also have hundreds of other career-focused classes too. For example, I am loving this class on finding your confidence as a creator, which features 5 exercises to grow your confidence and self-care. Now, as soon as I saw self-care, y'all knew I was in the right spot. Or if you've been listening to me talk about Shopify, then you'll also enjoy this one showcasing how to sell your art online. So if y'all are anything like me and you're interested in finding all the ways of getting ahead, learning something new, or stepping into a new career path, you can join SkillShare with a 1-month free trial membership using the link in the description of this video. See, learn something from this. Like Nene said, learn from the lunchbox. And what better way to do it than with SkillShare? Okay, now let's talk about the episode in general and why I'm giving it a 9.9. Baby, it's almost a 10. Honestly, y'all, this is probably my favorite episode of the season thus far. And it wasn't necessarily like a whole lot of major drama, except for, some sprinkles of some inclinations of things that are going on with Drew and Ralph, which I feel like we would do better to focus more on because we know what's coming. It's kind of like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with that whole Scandal situation that happened on Vanderpump Rules, but in light of what was happening, it felt to me like they began to sprinkle things into the episodes that would really allow us, the viewer, into sort of what was maybe going on beneath the surface, behind the veil, so to speak, or even sometimes right in our faces and right in Ariana's face. So I want to see more of this on this show because we know it's coming, but we just don't know exactly what that catalyst is going to be. So lead me like you leading a horse to water. You know what I'm saying? And I will drink. Yes, I will. Oh, yes, I will. And then we got this Sheree and Kandi beef. Let me tell you something. It was, at the end of the day, it was lightweight. It was what I watched Housewives for all of these years. It was the two of these women who have known each other for a very long time, seem like they have a relationship that they want to try to work on, but they just can't seem to get past a couple of little issues that don't really seem too deep or too dark. You know what I'm saying? This and they throwing shade at each other, but it's not shade that's deadly. You know what I'm saying? It ain't shade that you can't come back from. It ain't shade that just make you never want to talk to nobody again. You know what I'm saying? And then we also got to talk about the Marlo of it all. Marlo, to me, is sometimes her own worst enemy on this show. And we'll talk about why I feel that way when we really get to her scenes, because Marlo, for all intents and purposes, could be a very good addition to this franchise, except she does this one thing all the time that I feel like is a similar issue from another show that we talk about often, which is Love and Marriage Huntsville, that Kiki has an issue with, but they kind of do it in two different ways. But I'm going to talk about how they both overshoot, okay, and why that's a problem for the both of them, and why it could very well mean it could very well be to their detriment, right? So let's get into the episode. We start this episode off at Drew's house. She's recapping the dance rehearsal with her assistant. You know, her sister is coming, and she is like, my sister is so excited to see you, Ralph. And Ralph is looking like, get out of my face with that. And so we learn more about Allison, which is Drew's sister, and how she used to be her manager up until 2020. Now, apparently, she had some type of mental health break, and Ralph is not looking none too pleased that this woman is coming back up into the house. We also learned that he had banned her from coming there for like the past several years because in some way, shape, or form, she has called him controlling and manipulative. Now I'm thinking to myself again, this show has said a lot much worse about him. I mean, the show has basically labeled him like a gaslighter. The show has shown, and to be fair, it does feel like Ralph is a manipulator. Now, the controlling part I don't know about, but he does seem very manipulative when it comes to how he treats his wife at times, right? You know, and she's like, well, what do you need to feel comfortable in this situation? And let's really talk about it. You know, when you have in-laws and when you have and you're married and you have either in-laws or friends that are coming, and if you feel like they are disrespecting you in your own home, that's a very difficult thing to deal with. So let's push aside how we feel about some of Ralph's shenanigans. And let's just talk about that, for instance, right? That's a tough pill to swallow, to have to feel like you being disrespected in your own home. So to a certain degree, I can't blame him for feeling the way that he feels. But I also have seen enough of their relationship to know that not only has he embarrassed her on camera quite a few times, but he also, again, does seem manipulative. That's just the bottom line. And so, I mean, it sounds like Sister Allison was just basically calling a spade, and he didn't like it. Unless there was more to it that we just don't know about, it seemed like that was pretty much it to me, right? He says he doesn't know that what he's going to do in this situation or what would make him happy, but he thinks he may have to leave so as not to trigger Allison. And I'm thinking to myself, brother, just say it like it is. You don't want to be triggered by Allison. I mean, that's the truth of the matter, and ain't nothing wrong with saying that. But if this is just going to be an excuse for you to run back down to Tampa, then I got some questions for you, my brother. What's down in Tampa? I still don't know. I seen selling Tampa, like I said the other day. And so if that's what's down there, well, we just gonna sip on that one, okay? Drew just wants to make sure that the family stays in a healthy place, which is ironic considering the fact that we know that a divorce is incoming. Mind you, we did get some tea about that on Watch What Happens Live. So when asked, I might do a separate video about this because I know some people, you know, they don't get all, like when I do a longer video, they don't always get all the tea. And so sometimes they need it in shortened, abbreviated form. And I understand that. I try to make content for people who like long form and people who like short form. So I try to work with you. But in this instance, I don't know if I'm going to do a second video because I don't know if it's, you know, worth the second video, you know, doing. But we did learn on Watch What Happens Live, if you watched it last night because Drew was on there, that she felt as though Ralph filed, and it seemed like they were racing to the chapel, okay, racing to the divorce court because she was planning to file and he got wind of it. So he then tried to, you know, run Rudolph down to the run like Sonya, down to the run, she's a track star, down to the courthouse to do his filing as well, according to Drew, allegedly. Let's put the alleged badge up here because litigious. So anyway, Um, over at Sheba Sheree Central, okay, not to be confused with Sheba Shein, okay. Um, she's on the line on the FaceTime with her operations manager. Where has he been all this time? Okay. But they working on a baby line. Now, I am not one to tell somebody how to run their business, except for if you talking, because I do understand. Let me, I just so y'all know, in my past, I have done a lot of different work in my past, right? But my my education has been in journalism, mass communications, and English grammar, writing, and that sort of thing. And so, as part of my job history, I have also been a technical writer, which means that I also have worked in IT. And in order to work as a technical writer, you have to understand the ins and outs of how either networks or websites or what have you work in order for you to complete standard operating procedures, other types of documentation as it relates to programming, help desk procedures, again, website functionality, application functionality. So when as she's talking about these things, okay, trust and believe, as somebody like me is listening and saying, I don't know that what you're saying is the truth of the matter, but we'll get to that when we get to it. Which is why I'm so critical about what she is saying out of her mouth about it was just so many people on the website that it crashed, because she had so many different things happening right around that same time that it just don't seem like a crash is what happened in that calamity. There was a calamity, but I don't know that it was a crash. But again, I'm gonna say allegedly, because it's my word and everybody else's word against hers. Okay. So anyway, as I was saying, I don't understand why you pushing the baby stuff when the folks is complaining at this point in time when you filming, you just got the website back up and working. I mean, was it even up and working by the time you had that conversation with Kandi? Because it seemed like at the time when you had the conversation with Kandi, you asked her if she had gotten anything from the website, and she was like, "Girl, it ain't up." Was it up by October? I don't know. I have no idea. But what I do know is that when I tried to go to the website, I could not there. As what if who was it? Was it Phaedra that said that there was nothing there? There was nothing there. So for me, I'm like, Sheree, this is now you're trying to add baby clothes. Girl, can you get the regular clothes right first? Because for real, what's on her site now, I mean, or at least at that point in time, it felt like it was more or less just merch. And there's a little bit of a difference between you having merch and you having like a fashion line. Sheree had a fashion show. Let's not get it twisted. Sheree had a fashion show that featured fashion designs that seemed like they were designed by a designer. Someone sat down and wrote. Now you can design something to go on a t-shirt and you can call it your line. You certainly can. But for the most part, what she is doing is typically known as merch, okay? And mixed in with a little bit of private labeling and whatnot. Woo. Call it what you want to call it, but I just feel like get that right first before you start branching off into the baby lanes. You know what I'm saying? Like, can the people get their orders first for what they saw on the show? And then you start worrying about, I mean, but that's just me, one thing at a time. That's one thing I've learned as a business person. Handle one thing at a time, especially for somebody like Sheree, who seems like she has a hard enough time as it is on the one thing. And I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just trying to be realistic. Like, this is what you should do. And trust and believe, I have made enough mistakes in business to know for myself, perfect the one thing and then move on to the next. Okay. So I'm saying this as somebody who cares, Sheree. She somehow Sheree she just needs to prove Kandi wrong. Okay. Sheree and Marlo seem to have the same issues that Latasha Scott has, wherein they seem to want to blame Kandi for all the ails of their life. Everything that goes wrong with their business enterprises, everything that's gone wrong with, Marlo and her previous situation. The family now hates Kandi because Kandi wasn't there. Kandi didn't send flowers. Kandi didn't cater. Kandi didn't arrange the services for this, for her nephew, which again, we do send condolences and prayers for the family, because I know that's a difficult thing, because we have all dealt with death in some way, shape, or form, and it is not an easy thing. And some of us are still recovering from someone who has passed currently. You know what I'm saying? So I don't like the idea that we playing with this topic like this. But I digress, okay? Because I said I didn't want to talk about it no more. But anyway, what I'm saying is there's a common theme here with the people that don't seem to like Kandi. It's almost like they blame her for their lack of success in some way, shape, or form, for them not being able to move on from something, for them not being able to get somewhere. Sheree, it was not Kandi that did to you what you did. If you need to talk to somebody, you need to settle things up with that person who, the designer who says that those were his designs and they were not paid for. That's what you need to be settled, allegedly. Okay, that is who you should have the issue with. You know what I'm saying? Everybody was talking about your she by Shein looks. Okay, the alleged looks that were she by Shein, or they weren't. Maybe they weren't she by Shein. I don't care what they were. They just looked like Shein. Okay, that's what it was. That's the bottom line, right? So you got a problem with Kandi for something that is technically your issue. And I was watching Speak on it earlier today, and I had to agree. For as much as there was talk about, oh, Kandi don't ever have to talk about her issues. Kandi don't ever have to talk about her issues. Well, why wasn't nobody so pressed to talk about the She by Sheree website crashing? Because that was one of the biggest stories in social media. That was huge. Okay, it was huge. And then they went into filming right after that. Nobody brought that up, but it didn't seem like that was a big enough topic. I mean, if Marlo was affected by anything, it should have been that. Why? Because Marlo is the fashion girl, right? Marlo's the fashion maven. Marlo is the label. I am label. I am the label. Marlo is the walking label. Marlo is LBHM. Okay. Marlo is the brand. All right. So for me, I feel like if we're going to talk about people, and not talking about, the things that are going wrong in their lives, we could have been talking about She by Sheree, but it felt to me like everybody had the grace not to go in on her too bad, except for Drew when she did it on that radio show. And then Sheree was mad about that too. Girl, nobody got their merchandise when they was trying to order it. Let's just call a thing a thing. Okay. It is what it is. It happened. Period. But the other thing that I can say is that Sheree addressed it in her confessional, similar to how Kandi addressed it in hers. So I don't understand why Marlo has picked it. Marlo, it seemed like she picking and choosing, which goes back to my statement that I feel like Marlo, Sheree, and Latasha may need to go to the same treatment facility to get over the issues with Kandi, because she is not their problems. Okay. I mean, if they got issues, they ain't got nothing to do with Kandi. Okay, let's just call a thing a thing. I'm not saying Kandi is perfect by any means, but what I am saying is the issues that they bringing up to me are non-issues. Take that up with your therapist. Take that up with your operations manager, who is not wearing a She by Sheree hat. Okay. Meanwhile, Sheree texts Kandi because she's finally, after 7 episodes, okay, wanting to have a conversation with her, since she's been calling her a hater in about 6 or 7 of those episodes that we've seen so far. So finally, we're going to get this Ponderosa. Meanwhile, over at what it looks like, Lay Archive is back. She's doing, Marlo is doing a live foster care Fridays for her nonprofit, Glam It Up. And in my mind, I'm like, let's see more of this. I want to see more of Marlo's style. I want to see Marlo styling Tammy Roman. I want to see her styling for these Netflix shows. I want to see the goings-ons of Lay Archive. Not because I don't believe it exists, but because I'm interested in fashion, okay? I am interested in what Marlo is doing. Sometimes, though, it does seem like Marlo is on a separate show. It's very interesting to me because, mind you, it seems like she's not getting along with the majority of the girls. But when Marlo is on her own and when Marlo is not in conflict, Marlo is actually at her best, not in conflict. So it's amazing to me that they keep trying to push her to be in conflict when Marlo is better just delivering fun shade to me. Does that make any does anybody else feel the same way that I do? Because I know I can't be alone on this island. Okay. I know I'm not Gilligan, and I know it's some of y'all with me. So anyway, Sonya stops by, and Sonya is upset, which was funny to me. Sonya says that she's upset because the other girls don't know Marlo, the Marlo that she knows. Girl, you don't know the Marlo that you know. You have just gotten here about 2 years ago. What are we talking about, ma'am? Okay, actually, this is just your second season. So how is it that you know her so well, that you know her better than the rest of these girls that have been around her for the past decade? I think not. I think not. I think not, ma'am. I think not. I think you should be more concerned with celebrating Mommy Nation being in bulk, because that is a huge achievement, than trying to fight Marlo's battles, for whom you've only known for a year and a half or 2 years at the most. Okay. She does try to tell Marlo that Marlo be turned up in those situations, and Marlo disagrees because Kandi said F your flowers, which means F my family. No, it don't. And you stop trying to make it seem like that. Girl, she was just telling you F them flowers that you wanted because you didn't change your story 1,600 times, and we tired of hearing about it. So in my mind, it's like, yeah, I get why she was saying F your flowers, because I'm tired of talking about it. Meanwhile, Marlo's going on a blind date with a Jamaican man. And so, there was a little inconsistency in production, though, I will say, because Marlo had the same. I don't understand why they do this. To me, when y'all gotta give these people just different confessional looks. Let them have fashions, and don't make them do the same confessional look more than once, because it never looks the same. I could tell looking at that confessional. First of all, it was lit a little different. Her hair's a little different. She was sitting a little different. And that to me is much more distracting than completely giving Marlo a different look, particularly Marlo, who shows up with the fashions. So why do y'all continue to do these looks where you have them dressing up in the same thing and trying to recreate the same hairstyle 2 and 3 times when it never looks the same? Stop that, please. I'm over it. Like, we know it's a different day. Everything looks different. Okay. You done tried to dress them up the same, but it looks different. I'm sorry, it does. Let's be real about it. Some people may feel like I'm being picky, but I'm talking about continuity and things that distract me when I'm watching the show. And that scene was distracting. Sheree and Kandi meets in the park. Sheree is decked in her mink and her Louboutin. And Kandi, they got Kandi out there looking like she about to go play on the playground. And to me, I don't know what that disparity was supposed to be, but it is what it is. I like Sheree in a fur. I mean, so it is what it is. It did make their argument look a little interesting. And I guess maybe, they was trying to give Sheree the fashionista of it all. You know what I'm saying? Because she was listed in the magazine as a fashion icon. So there you have it. Okay. I mean, so they get into the real issue of it all, wherein Sheree feels like Kandi, be coming after her business, online and stuff like that, and in interviews. And basically, Kandi is echoing the same sentiments that half the world was echoing when they were trying to purchase the She by Sheree items, and then we're seeing She by Sheen pop up everywhere. Okay, it was a thing. It was a thing, Miss Ma'am. We were all wondering where the fashions were because we were all trying to support you. Okay, so let's be real about it, right? Let's be real about this thing, because it was a thing, Sheree, and you got to know that. And every time you keep trying to tell us, oh, this website crashed because it was so much love, girl. please stop. Please stop. Okay. Please just stop. Please just stop. Just say you weren't ready. We weren't ready. We were trying to be ready. We weren't ready. In my opinion, that's what she should say. Now I'm gonna put the alleged badge up here because she could say that she was ready, and I'm saying she not. But I'm just telling you, she to me was not ready for we. Okay. So anyway, just like just like Latasha, she blames Kandi for the negative press because Kandi is so powerful. Kandi is the great and powerful Oz. And if Kandi says it, then the rest of the world is going to think it. Because Kandi got such a big old platform. And Kandi smartly makes use of her platform. Okay? I mean, you too could be making use of your platform, but it don't seem like Sheree got the same level of business acumen that maybe Kandi and her team have. You know what I'm saying? So Sheree, maybe you need to get you a team of people that can help you carry out your visions so you can continue to live fabulously as you do. You understand what I'm saying? It is about having a good team around you. And if you don't have that, I mean, what do you have? Anyway, Kandi does mention the she by she and stuff, but Sheree goes in and says, well, listen, I have been to your restaurant and I have had to wait 3 hours. And, basically when I go to Tags, I bought a t-shirt from there. And when I wash it, it had drawed up like a lint ball or whatever like that. And Candy's like, well, at least I still got my store. Ultimately, this argument to me was fun and funny. I laughed. I enjoyed it because what Sheree does do well is that I feel like while she throws jabs, I never felt like it was so far below the belt like that neither one of them could come back from it. And I did feel like they at least wanted to walk away with either understanding or resolve. And at the end, Kandi does apologize for, coming after, I guess, really commenting about the calamity that was the launch of She by Sheree. And, I respect it. I respect anybody that can say, you know what, your feelings matter in this moment. You know what I'm saying? How what was actually going on, it might be true, but how you feel to me matters. And that is what I want to see more of on this show. And that is why I enjoyed this episode, because it was filled with moments that made me feel good. You know what I'm saying? Especially considering some of the darkness that we've had to deal with the tragedy and all that other stuff. We learned that Todd's script is done. He wants Drew to star in it, but Kandi doesn't really want to play opposite of her because she doesn't want to be typecast in a certain type of role. Drew's sister is on the way. Production. I don't know why this was important to show us, but I guess they wanted to show, and it is important to show and tell as we talk about that. When production had wrapped, her sister finally showed up, but Ralph had already excused himself to go to bed because he maybe was sleepy and didn't want to be around her. It was 10:30. I don't know what time he normally go to bed, but he was really not trying to deal with it. Okay. And I honestly can't blame him. Like, if I feel like if I got somebody coming to my house that I don't particularly care for, I mean, I honestly might leave too. I might go to bed. I just don't know. I don't know how I will react. I don't typically like people coming into my home that I don't really like that. And that's very few people. There are very few people in this world that I just absolutely dislike or anything like that. And in particular, there's nobody in, like, I don't have that type of situation going on. So it's hard to say what I would do. Okay. Down to the roller skating rink, Drew is getting prepped. Sanya, cousin Courtney, and Kenya arrive. There's no word of where Kandi is. Marlo, I don't believe, was invited. Monyetta is there, and Drew has a new mullet in this confessional. Now, let me say this, because I do make reference to the fact that I don't like to talk about women's looks and stuff like that. But I am into the fashion of it all. I was low-key into, but not into this look. Okay. It was giving me rock star mullet, but it was a lot going on. And I was like, she's taking a risk, but did it work? I don't know. Y'all let me know in the chatterization. I was a little bit confused by it. Was it edgy? Was it fashions? Did it make you feel like you was at the Louis Vuitton runway show? Or did it make you feel like you was stomping into the 80s? I don't know. I really don't know. Y'all tell me. What I think they did is it felt like they said, to every one of the cast members, can y'all do something a little wild and crazy? Give the people something to talk about. You know what I'm saying? Because you had Kandi with the afro, you had Kenya with that Farrah Fawcett wig, and now you got Drew with this mullet. So I just kind of feel like maybe production said, y'all need to jazz it up a little bit. Do something a little unexpected. And unexpected these things are, okay? Because every time I see Kandi in this afro wig talking about somebody, it's just the funniest thing to me. But now I got something new to laugh at. Not that I was laughing at Kandi, but the afro wig, as Kandi is saying, F that B, it was just giving me Foxy Brown. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, I was just, I was waiting for the 1970s music to play as she was saying it. But now I'm looking at Drew and I'm waiting for we don't need another hero. You know what I'm saying? God rest her soul. Lord have mercy. How did we lose Tina Turner like that? Lord have mercy. But I do love that song. So anyway, I digress again. Sheree had an interview, so she can't make it either. Now, Drew can't skate, so this was interesting. The video is out. I did see some snippets of it. And surprisingly, Ralph is still in the video. Maybe because he's also listed as a producer on the cover of the album. But it would seem to me as though I would have honestly probably tried to cut him out. Maybe they didn't have enough scenes to fill the whole video in. Or maybe it's just a testament to when things were amazing. But given that they are in this divorce that does seem a bit contentious, although he did seem like he was trying to apologize via that People magazine article that we talked about previously, I just feel like for my own sanity, I probably would have cut him out of the video just so you can't say that you having any part of my success, you receiving anything from the residuals of the YouTube channel that Drew is gonna put it on, that the video will be featured on. But I'm sure they have been. Their business is tied up all up and intertwined all up in each other, so it would be difficult to separate it. So, girl, I guess just leave him in. But for me, I would have taken him straight on up out of there, okay? And I would have redid it, and I would have replaced him with somebody else, or I would have cut those scenes all together, and they would have just shown me rolling and slipping and sliding around that roller skating rink until I couldn't roller skate no more. All right. So anyway. The only thing I do like about Ralph in this episode is that Givenchy sweater. Okay, give me that. All right. What was nice to see in this episode was that Ralph did seem to embrace Allison, because Allison had a moment seeing Drew being able to finally accomplish a lot of the things that she had wanted to accomplish, and that things that, Allison herself had suggested for Drew while she was managing her. And I liked seeing this moment where we didn't really see the breakdown of the relationship between, Allison and Ralph, but we felt it, I believe. So it was really nice to see them have that moment, and it felt like a release. You know what I'm saying? Especially for Drew and especially for her mom. And then you think about it in light of what we know is actually now happening. It's very interesting to watch the dynamics of this family as they continue to try to heal in some way, shape, or form. And I'm trying to understand where it's going to all break down. And it looks like we're going to see more of Allison in the next video, in the next episode. Marlo is getting dressed for her date. I wrote in my notes here that Marlo is much better when she's not in conflict. She's fun. She's vivacious. I think she's funny. She has, she's a joy to watch when she's not, until she overshoots. And we'll talk about that. She FaceTimes Drew, Sonia, who tells her, girl, I'm at the video shoot for Drew. And Marlo's like, I didn't get no invite to that. So she's like, let me FaceTime this fake Drew. Now, why would you FaceTime fake Drew if you are only going to get on the FaceTime and be fake with Drew? So you, hi honey, and this, that, and the third, and whatnot, and whoop de whoop. And I felt like Drew to me seemed completely not fake in this situation, basically telling her, listen, I feel like you owe me an apology. I feel like, the way you were speaking to me, I feel like it was wrong. And then Marlo apologizes. And it felt like the conversation was moving in a positive direction. And then I don't know if Drew was continuing on. I don't know if the camera chopped up and edit. I don't know what happened. All I know is that either the call dropped or Marlo hung up the phone. And the next thing I know, Marlo is calling Drew every name under the sun. She's calling her fake. She's talking about her being bad-bodied. And she says that her man don't want her because he's too busy looking at a voluptuous body like mine, or something to that effect, that seemed just mad inappropriate to be talking about somebody else's husband potentially looking at your body. Or she could have been saying that I got the type of body that he really wants. Either way, it's just mad disrespectful, because why would you bring him into your beef with her that ain't really even that serious? And why would you even call her if you feel like she's such a fake B? You know what I'm saying? Why apologize to her if you feel like she's such a fake B? Why are you doing these things? To me, again, this is where Marlo always fails. I just feel like these be the unnecessary moments, these tirades that just happen out of the blue. It's like, where did it come from? And like, why are we doing it right now? You're headed out to a blind date. I mean, be worried about that. Okay. Speaking of this date that she go on, now I ain't gonna lie. I like Scottley. Okay. Now, but Scottley put me in the mind of Jelani on Basketball Wives. And just like with Basketball Wives, I got to wonder, is this a real match or is this a TV match? Okay. Now, granted, it was a blind date, so it's hard to say. But what I can say is this: he got a restaurant, he treated her well. Um, he got 3 kids, 2 are under 5, which is not necessarily something she was looking for. But I mean, at this point, Marlo, you got 2 kids too. He tells her, because she says, you got any skeletons in your closet? And he's like, well, I've been to jail a couple of times. She's like, oh my God, me too. Woo! And his longest stint was 6 months. And then she says, we was twins. Now, part of me was like, well, what you do? But but I be trying to, y'all know, in this space, sometimes it's real easy to focus on things that feel like scandal, right? But I personally, I've just been doing this so long that that type of thing, it don't move me no more. I don't care. To be honest, I mean, I'm a little bit nosy, so I do kind of want to know a little bit. But for the most part, I'd be like, I mean, whatever you did in your past, I mean, if you did your time and you came out of it a better person, Lord willing, and God got their hands on you and you doing good things, then I gotta let it be. I gotta let it be what it be, because everybody got a past, and you know what I'm saying? Who am I to judge? But it seems like there might be a match made in heaven, and she feels like this is a situation where she don't have to worry about her past coming back to haunt her. Overall, the date seems amazing, and I would like to say to the producers of the Real Housewives of Atlanta, bravo on a rebound episode, and please continue to give us more episodes like this, because it felt good. Now, I am slightly worried about the ratings, because I would have taken a week off, because I know that there are a lot of people who may have been watching the BET Awards. And so, because there's I mean, we've got a night filled with, a lot of Black talent, that also could mean that a lot of viewers who are Black may be watching, and who may be non-Black, who may be watching the BET Awards. But what I'm saying is, I just feel like the viewership could be split, and I feel like it could impact the ratings. But perhaps those people who were watching the BET Awards will go back and watch it on streaming, and that will make up for what may be lacking in the ratings this week. So that would be my only concern. I would have taken a break this week, and I would have just let the BET Awards, just let it do what it do, because there were a lot of housewives who were at the BET Awards. So, there is that. Let me know what you guys thought about the episode. Did you watch it last night, or did you watch the BET Awards? Did you feel like this was a return to form for, not only reality TV, but especially the Real Housewives of Atlanta? Did it kind of give you those old school Atlanta vibes? How do you feel about the whole situation with Marlo? Do you agree with me? Do you think that Kandi should have apologized to Sheree? Do you feel like they'll be in a better place now? I'm interested to know what you think. I cannot wait to read your comments, and I will catch you all in the next video.